Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to the Tom Broadbent Lounge. Well, the football summer's almost over. The hard running, the bleep tests, the evening trips to local non-league grounds, everyone's favourite Swindon Town players, trialist A, B, and indeed C, have been put back on the shelf for another year. Because people, this weekend, we get into the good stuff. This weekend, results start to matter, and Swindon Town's 2023-24 season gets underway with a trip to Essex to meet some familiar faces, some friendly, and a slightly turtle one too. But tonight, ladies and gentlemen, our panel here at the Tom Broadbent Lounge headquarters will delve into what's been a very busy, in slightly tongue-in-cheek commas, summer at SM1, before we look ahead into the weekend's opener at Colchester United. So, ladies and gentlemen, my panel this evening, I have our ever-present co-host, Ellis. Ellis, how are we, mate?
Yeah, I'm wonderful, Joe. I'm buzzing for this season ahead. I'm sort of just itching for it to sort of to be here already. But yeah, how are you,
I'm all right,
Joe?
mate. I think this week, in terms of transfers and probably even like media content from the club, has ramped up my excitement tenfold.
Yeah, 100%. This new admin is doing
He's doing
wonders.
bits, isn't he?
Yeah, I'm loving all of the announcements, and hopefully it's not going to be the last
Well, you'd
one.
hope not. Cheeky little plug there earlier on
Yeah.
of the admin show last week. So well done, Ellis. Good work, mate. We also have our favourite Northern Swindonian in Chris. Chris, how's it going, buddy?
It's going very well. Literally, I just got in the door about 2 minutes ago, so I've managed to sneak myself in after a very busy day. But I'm I'm ramped up and I'm ready for Saturday. Really looking forward to
Happy
Saturday.
days.
Are you?
Mate, yeah, I'm. To be fair, I know you're going, mate. I wish I was going too, but I've got other plans this weekend, unfortunately. So yeah, I'm not as excited as you are, I know, but I am looking forward to following on a maybe dodgy stream. But we won't go into that. We also have a proper Wiltshire voice this time in Daz. Daz, how's it going, buddy?
I'm doing very well, Joe. Yeah, and last week, not very excited. This week, I'm starting to get very excited at the prospect of this new
That's
season.
what we want to hear. That is what we want to hear. Carly, we've also got you on the show this evening. How's the excitement levels in your head?
Hiya, Joe. Yeah, we can almost taste
We
it.
can. It's getting close, isn't it? I mean, as I said to Ellis, the
It's nearly
social
here.
media output from the club is, I think, it's starting to get the juices flowing in the fan base a little bit.
Definitely. I know I've definitely reconnected with a few fellow Swindon Town fans that are friends, that it's a little bit quiet over the gap, and the phone's pinging away again this week because we're all getting excited about meeting up at Colchester.
That's what it's all about. That is what it's all about. And
Definitely.
last but by no means least, we have Daisy. Daisy, how are you doing?
I'm not too bad, thank you. I'm just really excited for the season to start up, and I'm just excited for Saturday. Bring on Colchester.
Bring them on. Bring them on. Well, I suppose before we get into Colchester, we have titled the show Pre-season 23-24 Done With, but I thought maybe we could have a look into the pre-season just as a final roundup of, all the fun that we've had over the last few weeks. So I know we've discussed the previous pre-season games slightly, because I know we don't really think that too much, you can't read too much into a pre-season match generally. Anyway, we played 6 games this pre-season, winning 3, drawing 1, and losing a couple. I think the 2 losses came sort of back to back. The Hereford and was it Colsham, or I can't remember who it was, but it was a reserve team, wasn't it? But I suppose the latest of those,
Bristol City as
yeah,
well.
that's it, mate. The latest of those wins came against Plymouth for the weekend. So a 3-1 win over Plymouth, obviously championship side now. Fairly impressive. Both teams went full strength. We got to see, a couple of our players for the first time, a couple of trialists too, that we expect maybe to be in the conversation of signing a deal. Ellis, you were on site, weren't you, at the game on Saturday?
Absolutely, I was. Yeah, look, if that's the side that we're looking at for this season, I think we're in for a good season. We looked a really, really fit side. That sort of stood out to me by quite a bit. Yeah, we looked fit, and we kept our shape, and we looked sort of well. What's the word? Sort of
Well polished, or I
we
mean,
yeah, well polished. We had a good setup, and you could see that we had a game plan, and we were definitely sticking to it. But like I said, we looked fit. I mean, you look at the Paolo Di Canio and the Wellings promotions team. The two things that those sets of teams had in common was that we were by far the fittest team in the league. So look, I from what I saw, again, it's a pre-season game, so you've got to take it with a pinch
yeah,
of
of
salt.
course.
But from what I saw on Saturday, I think we've all got something to be excited about. Um, we, we 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 got to see sort of our strongest side, or sort of the side that Flynn is going to want to
Hmm.
play. Obviously, new signing Dan Kemp played.
I mean, we'll get there,
Um,
I'm sure, but bloody hell, I mean,
oh, look, we said it when he signed, but look, we've got a proper player on our hands here. I mean the strike that the goal that he scored was, I mean, the corner into him. He was edge of the box. He sort of pulled off and just volleyed it.
I
What a
mean,
strike
some
that was!
some may say there's a shin involved, but I would happily tell those people to piss off and just don't ever come back to the Swindon game, because that was pure
Look,
excellence.
it went in the net. That's all that
Exactly.
matters. So look, I've got some notes here, so I'll just rattle
Yeah.
through them. Sorry if I repeat myself, but so Swindon Town managed to finish the final pre-season game with a bang, 3-1 to the newly promoted League One winners Plymouth. 3 goals came from Dan Kemp, Rashawn Hepburn Murphy, and Jacob Wakelin. It the first half was fairly even. Both sides had some decent opportunities, decent opportunities to score, but sort of nothing was coming of it, and we sort of both cancelled each other out. I mean, Plymouth come out sort of all guns blazing, sort of put pressure on us straight away, looking to get an early goal. But I've got to say our defence done really well in closing them down. Brewitt really stood out for me. I know he's got a lot of stick towards the end of last season, but genuinely he was one of our better players on that pitch on Saturday.
Brewitt strikes me on that
Well,
point, mate. Brewitt strikes me as the sort of player that
yeah.
will flourish in a back three.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Look, he's not got
That's
the
it.
height.
Yeah.
Like, he's not got the height, so we're limited with that. But on the ball, he looks composed. He looks comfortable. But look, he gets stuck into challenges. His height doesn't stop him from getting stuck in and putting a challenge in. So Brewitt looked really good defensively. Blake Tracy as always. McEachran stood out for me as well defensively. Again, not a big player, but he was throwing himself into challenges and winning pretty much most of them.
I tell you what, we're rattling through
And
players here, mate, as well, who obviously we mentioned in
oh,
terms of height aren't there, and we're kind of going against maybe the Michael Flynn grain in terms of what people had
yeah,
expected when he was appointed. I think we heard a lot of questions,
yeah,
didn't we?
definitely.
Where are we going to be expected to play in brackets hoofball, or kick it, head it football? And I think maybe the
Yeah,
back three sometimes, at times, it can be sort of tarred with that brush of being a bit ugly. But from what we're seeing in terms of signings, obviously we're getting signings into a little bit as well. But today's or this evening's
yeah.
signing, he's not a big lad. He's
No,
it's nice to see. But sorry, mate, you crack on from Plymouth.
yeah, no problem. Yeah, so Brewitt, McEachran, Blake Tracy all look good defensively. Minturn as well. He made a cracking clearance in the second half, sort of a bicycle kick off the line. So yeah, look, defensively we look good, and we were playing against Plymouth, a championship side. We were playing against their presumably starting lineup. I know it's pre-season, but look, there's good players in that Plymouth side. I mean, a familiar face that we all know at Swindon, Kesler Hayden, he started. He definitely impressed from a Plymouth sort of viewpoint, but yeah, so there were some serious players in that side, and we dominated that game. Like I said, first half was fairly even, but second half we just come out like from the whistle. You could see we wanted it. You could see that we wanted to win. We were quick on the counter attack. We were quick defending on the press.
I think this is a big thing as well. Like, obviously, we've always, I guess, traditionally had a pre-season friendly at home the weekend before the first game of the season. And I think last season, obviously, we kind of got our asses handed to us a little bit by Cardiff. And I
Yeah.
think it sort of leaves a sour taste in a few fans' mouths going into the first week of the season. So, impressing last weekend against a team that probably are up there with Cardiff where they were last season, or maybe a bit better, because obviously Cardiff are struggling with financial issues or whatnot. It's just, I think it's left a really good impression on a lot of fans going into next weekend. Obviously, everyone on the show this evening is started the show off by saying how excited they are about going into Colchester. Imagine if we had got dicked 4-0.
Yeah, 100%. Look, Joe, you touched on it there. The Cardiff last season, we got shafted by Cardiff. Like, understandably, they're a Championship side, but you look at that performance and it's going to make anyone excited. So, another thing that sort of stood out for me was the pairing of Charlie Austin and Rashawn Hepburn Murphy. It worked really, really well in this game. The pace of Hepburn Murphy is just like I still can't believe it. I still can't get my head around how quick he is. There was moments where sort of a big clearance was made, and you're like, well, no normal players get into it, but Hepburn Murphy's just an absolute rocket down the wing, wins the ball.
I think he might be the fastest player I've seen at town.
It's mental. It's not. It shouldn't be possible how fast he is. So half time, it was 0-0. Like I said, come out really, really strong. The first goal, like I said earlier, come from Dan Kemp, a brilliant corner to the edge of the box. He was waiting there for the volley, and just absolute rocket into the top corner. It then wasn't too long before we made it 2, after a lovely slotted pass from Hutton allowed Hepburn Murphy to run down the right hand side and slot that into goal. So again, we saw last season, Hutton's got great ability, passing ability, crossing ability. And yeah, it was a lovely through ball into Hepburn Murphy. Hepburn Murphy, with his pace, took it down the right hand side and scored a nice, well-rounded goal. And then the third goal come from Wakelin in the 86th minute. He showed a lot of grit to sort of get the goal. He received the ball at halfway line. I think he probably beat about 3 or 4 players. Again, showed great pace. And he's not big in stature, but he had 1 point he had 2 players on him, and showed great composure to slot it into the bottom of the net. But even Plymouth's goal that they scored, I wouldn't say they necessarily deserved it. It was a great finish from them. We sort of just got caught out lacking defensively, but look, overall, I think that was a really, really good performance from Town.
That's the word there, isn't it? The word there is performance. It's not a case of results. Obviously, results in pre-season don't matter an ounce. It's seeing those performances and having the confidence going into the new season that if we get that week in, week out, we're going to be doing all right. I mean, I think in terms of the players that I think Mike Flynn actually said this week that coming into the squad, coming into training this summer, the players that were already at the club have really surprised him in terms of quality. and obviously we've added a few players to that. I genuinely, I know I can see people listening that have posted out, projected leagues or predicted leagues and stuff, and we tend to be 12th to 16th from what I've seen in a lot of predicted divisions.
Yeah,
Um, I think we've got a squad that, even as it is capable of at least pushing for, those last couple of playoff spaces. You add a few
yeah.
to
Look,
it.
Joe, we are going to shock this league. You call me a happy clapper, call me whatever. That performance on Saturday, I think the signing today. I'm sure we're going to probably make one or two more signings. I think we're in a real good position going into this season. We could be a real dark horse this season. Like you said, Joe, we're getting predictive 12th, sort of. We're getting predicted mid-table.
Yeah.
I think we could easily get playoffs. And yeah, I've just gone. I'm now going into this season really positively. After that performance,
You wait for us to get Rodgers 5-0 at the weekend, that'll change.
it's all going to go downhill from there. But
Hey,
yeah,
Clay, if I can just interject here, I say, Ryan, I see you're listening to us, and you've had Swindon fans on a knife edge all summer. So if you fancy coming in, hit a speaker request. It'd be lovely to chat to you if you fancy it.
Ryan, the string man, as he's known in Swindon. He has got everyone on strings, hasn't he? Chris, while you're on, mate, as well, obviously rounding off the pre-season chatter, what has pre-season felt like to you this year? I mean, obviously, as we said, results don't really matter, but we've seen quite a good level of performance when the first team have been playing. Do you take confidence from that going into the season?
I think from the first team, I'm confident in that team that Flynn's got the system he wants and whatnot. But I'm just saying I'm a bit frustrated at how slow it is about getting other people in. But if we're slow getting other people in and the right people coming in, then I can accept that. But I'm not disappointed going into the first game of the season. I'm looking forward to it. I would have wanted a few more in and to be a bit quicker, but it is what it is. And I mean, when I look at that first 11, I think that's a decent first 11. But where the worries come is if we get injuries, if we get suspensions, that there's not really much coming behind them.
Yeah, no, absolutely, mate. I've just had a WhatsApp from Ryan, and he says that he can't join the show because unfortunately he's in the vegetable aisle in Sainsbury's. So, Ryan, we'll let you crack on with your shopping, mate. But thanks for listening in. Obviously, we touched there on transfers and stuff. I guess if you were to ask 100 Swindon Town fans what they'd thought of this summer's transfer window, you'd probably get 100 different answers, wouldn't you? We've all seen the difference in opinions online. We've seen anything from anything to announce admin tweets, the budget's too small, we're not investing tweets. But we've also had a fair amount of positivity too. So I guess from a corner of the Swindon Town fan base, there's been a kind of happier vibe or a more content vibe. We've had more outs and ins at present, but of course that's subject to change or imminent change. If we just reel off, I guess, what we've looked at or what we've taken in and let go at the club this summer so far, obviously we have 3 loans coming in. So Murphy Mahoney from loan from QPR, Dan Kemp on loan from MK Dons, Jake Young from Bradford on loan as well. Now that's 3 loan spots sort of used up, and to me there are 2 there that are dead starters. So you've got Murphy Mahoney and Dan Kemp who are starting. Dan Kemp's on loan from MK Dons, who are on our division, and that frightens the absolute shit out of me. Obviously, we've also had Liam Kinsella, and tonight Udoka Godwin Malief. I may have butchered his name. I apologise. They're permanent, so that's great. They're good. They're in the squad. But I wanted to spend a little bit of time on Dan Kemp and the MK Dons link, because if suddenly we get to January and we're fighting for the playoffs, and so are MK Dons, you can bet your last penny they're taking them back. Like it's going to happen. I mean, Carly, we've experienced signings from like the lower league looking. So Liam, if you're listening, Bradford absolutely teased us with Owen Doyle. Obviously, it didn't matter in the end. The COVID season curtailed and whatnot. But it always frightens me to have a star player as a loan spot. How do you feel about
I just think, I think we're lucky that we've obviously attracted somebody, and he looks like he's got some real quality
that?
about him. And I think we've done well to attract somebody like that to us. I totally and utterly agree with you. It is always that feeling, isn't it, when they're on loan and you think, great, you're going to do well, and then we're going to lose you. But unfortunately, this is League Two, isn't it?
Yep.
And we've got to utilise every option that we can. So let's hope that he is amazing and gets us into a good position, off the back of it. And if we do lose him, then unfortunately we've been here before, like you say, like Owen Doyle, those sort of players. It's wonderful while it's good, isn't it? So I think we've just got to make the most of it. Hopefully, the powers that be, Mike Flynn, whatever, they're looking all the time for other players. I'm sure they'll be thinking the same as us. Are they going to do well? They're going to get recalled, and if so, who's going to come in and replace them?
Absolutely. I think in my head, I'm sort of kind of hoping that Dan Kemp maybe scores 2 or 3 goals before January, just sort of blends into the background, and then post January goes on madness and scores 15.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, let's not worry about that now. That's just my way of looking at things. And again, Ellis, I agree with you. Call me a happy clapper, whatever, and so be it. I have been, but let's just concentrate on get the first month out of the way, see how we're playing, see how we're forming. Hopefully, get very excited, and then we'll worry about that when we need to.
Absolutely. I think. Go on, Chris.
I was going to say we had that actually with the season with Joe's favourite ever Swindon manager Ben Garner was
Who's
involved.
that? Do you mean the turtle?
Oh, that's the
Definitely.
lad. But that season we were so disrupted with the way that we were doing so well, and then all the loans got recalled. But we adapted, recovered, and we ended up having a good season. So if Kemp goes there, if Young goes well and they get recalled, well, we'll
What
deal
I
with
would
it.
say as well, Chris, though, I
And
think in terms of that season, obviously Tyree Simpson gets recalled. I think if he stays and we stick with him rather than Josh Davison, I think we go up. So, and Kessler Hayden as well. We went from Kessler Hayden to Egbo. I think maybe that possibly could have been a positive change. But it's so up and down. And the loan system, as Carly rightly mentioned, we are in League Two. So you've got to kind of, if it's the only way you can get a player in that you specifically want, you take that risk, don't you? But I suppose this is probably the segment of the show that we do the same as we did with Sol Bryn, and we remind that anyone from MK Dons, if you're listening, Dan Kemp is shit and you don't want him.
Sorry, I was just going to say the Tyree Simpson situation. Loved him, definitely loved Tyrese. Kessler Hayden was outstanding. I thought losing him was, to huge detriment to us. Tyree Simpson, I'll go on a bit of a different angle here, was sometimes quite frustrating. Wasn't always there at the end where he should be. Like, was as well for a great deal of the time, but not always. You saying I think we would have gone up if we kept him. I don't know. I'm not so sure. I found he was a little bit. He could go a bit off the boil, but just my
No, I
opinion.
totally agree. I think at the start of the season as well, especially that year, I think Tyrese took a few months to get into his groove. But you think about just the point of leaving, he was absolutely red hot. And I think if you think about the
Yeah.
home game against Port Vale in the playoffs when Davison could be making it 3-0, I think if Tyrese is in that position with the ball at his feet, I think it's 3-0.
Yeah, you are right. Definitely, I do agree.
I think the thing as well to say about Tyree Simpson is the improvement he made from when he came in to when he moved was immense, and it actually maybe in some ways contributed to our success because him and McCurdy as a two were very effective. But once he left, we had to readapt, and then with McCurdy going out right and then Louis Barry coming out left, with Davison through the middle give us another dimension. And I think if we tried with the two, we might not have been as successful. So it's interesting that way. But the improvement from Tyrese Simpson was immense.
Yeah, I think, that's the way he got recalled as well, was probably to a detriment to his career. I know he's obviously at Northampton this year, but he almost had a dead season last year. Kind of a bit wasted, wasn't it, on him? So I think leading on to my next point was the outgoings, about how we can use the loan system a little bit better for our players at Swindon Town. So obviously we've had quite a few loans. Sorry, mate.
Yeah. I was going to say, the other thing I would like to say about Tyrese Simpson about Northampton, he probably won't stay there all season, because I've been to Northampton and I wouldn't want to stay there.
No, that's a fair point, that is. So obviously, in terms of outgoings at Swindon Town as well, we've had 3 loan outgoings, which is where I was going with the Tyrese Simpson thing. Obviously, in terms of loans, we've had Tommy Adeloy to Partick Thistle. That's a good move for Tommy. I think obviously he's had a good year at Ayr United up there. Obviously did enough to convince the powers that be at the time that he was going to be, a number 9 literally for Swindon Town in League Two. We've also had Ricky Aguiar go to Worthing on loan, and we've had Sonny Hart and Anton Dworzak loan to Gloucester City, as well as Roland Darcy for an undergo to Vita Crawley, and then Marcel Lavinia as part of the season's deal as well. So out of the 4 loans that have gone out from Swindon Town this summer, is there anyone there, do you think, that can benefit out of the loan system to Swindon Town's benefit? Looking at, I think Tommy Adeloy, I think it's probably ship sailed in a way. I think I can't see him coming back, but obviously if he goes up there, he impresses, he's out of contract next year, he gets a free move to a Scottish Championship side. I think everyone's happy in that deal. Ricky Aguiar's the one for me on paper. I mean, Daz, I'll take your thoughts on this, mate. I've not heard from you from a while, but Ricky Aguiar's been a player that I think, whenever I've seen him play, there's something there. There is something there. He just needs to get that confidence back in his head, I think.
Yeah, and I'm not sure whether Wokin's the right place for him. I know he was there before, wasn't
Worthing. So it's National League South, which is a bit. I think he's at least a National League player, I think, in my head, but he could go there and run that side, couldn't he?
Yeah, so I think all right then. Yeah, he will benefit from that, and hopefully next season he'll be an integral part of the Swindon team. But then will that be too big a drum? Because obviously we'll be in League One then, and you've got a National League player. So perhaps it'll be a case of selling him then for some money.
I think that's a good point. You got, as I said, I think Tommy Adeloy is out of contract next summer. So we're unlikely to get a fee out of him. Obviously, Ricky's got a longer term deal at the football club, so he comes back. Whether he has a good season, then we sell him on for a bit of a fee, or he comes back into the squad next year and tries to impress next summer. You've got the 2 youngsters, Sonny Hart and Anton Dworzak, as well, who have impressed a lot of people over the summer. I know Anton Dworzak is kind of the poster boy for the academy at the minute, and
I think that lad Sonny is going to be something, because he's a brute, and he's only 16, 17?
Yeah.
He's a monster. He is going to be huge, because you remember sort of like when Ndolo came through the ranks. He was skinny, and there was another lad that came through, and they were absolutely nothing, skinny things. And then the next season they really packed out and built up. Put on some muscle rather than timber.
I think Harrison Minturn maybe did that last summer. We saw him at Woking away. Yeah. It was my first pre-season game last year, and Harrison Minturn came out for the second half, and he was an absolute unit, and it really took me by surprise. But can you imagine? I mean, Sonny Hart's got another 5 years of growing in him.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Minturn there. I mean, saw him at the against Plymouth. And I thought he was absolutely solid, confident, and he thought, "Hey, this is a good lad," and he's one of ours, So that's promising for sure.
Absolutely. Daisy, we've not heard from you as of yet this evening. What are your thoughts on the outgoings? Do you think that we've had as many outgoings as incomings? in your head, do you think we're still short? Do you think we're okay? Do you think we're, a couple of players off?
I'd say we're definitely still short in some places. I think the loans are good. I think it's going to benefit the players with their development. I think Adeloy, he'll need this loan to give him some more confidence, because I just don't think he had exactly an amazing season last year. And I think he got a lot of stick from fans, which I think was quite unnecessary and at some points.
Yeah, I think with Adeloy as well, it's probably going to be massive for him personally as well. Like,
yeah, 100%.
Just go out there and score 20-odd goals and prove everyone wrong. It's his chance, isn't it?
Build up that confidence.
100%.
Yeah, 100%.
Look, on that Adeloy point, Adeloy's got a bloody great strike on him. Like, whenever I tend to get there a little bit before kickoff and watch the players warm up, and in the shooting drill before the game, his shots are like rockets. They're like, honestly, in the Melksham game as well, he scored a really good goal there. So look, the guy can score goals. There's no doubt about it.
I think it's a mental thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah, a big part of it is definitely confidence. If you're not getting the game time, you're not going to be anywhere near as fit and as mentally sort of in the right headspace to be playing to the best of your ability. And I think a loan, obviously a loan move is if he's going to get games, then looking at it from his point of view, it's the best possible sort of situation to be in to get minutes in, because I'm sure no football player wants to be sat on the bench every
No, absolutely not. Here's a question for you. I'll ask the panel this, I guess. If Tommy Adeloy goes and scores 15 goals in the first half of the season, do you recall him and bring him back to the second half?
For me, it depends how we're doing as a side. I mean, if we're not struggling in the goal department, if we're scoring plenty of goals and we're pissing the league, then there's no reason to bring him back, especially if he's not going to get game time, because it's only going to sort of piss him off. And look, like I said, a player wants minutes. So, but obviously, if we're struggling and he's scoring goals up there, then it would definitely need to be considered. And I mean, Flynn knows what he's doing anyway, so
that's it. Yeah. I think, as you say, mate, like I can only think. I agree with you as well. In warm-ups, and from what's in warm-ups, he can strike a football. He knows where the net is. I just think it's pure confidence. I can remember him having 2 shots the entire season, and that's literally it. Him scoring away at Newport and him missing a sitter at Barrow. That's all I can remember. And I think if you add that confidence to him, like I say, if he goes and scores 15 goals at the start of the season in the Scottish Championship or League One, wherever, I think part of it may be League One actually, but he comes back with confidence, it could be a massive asset. I mean, Chris, what are your thoughts on that one, mate?
In a word, no. And I'll say that as well. I just think it just didn't work for him here. And I think the fact that the loan is probably a fact is Partick aren't paying all of his wages. We're paying a part of them. So it helps that way. It just didn't work for him here. Even if he scores, he might go and score 20 goals in the first half of the season. When he comes back here, does he fit in? I'm not so sure he did. And I think we weren't a fit for him. And so I just think really he's not coming back here. Going up to Partick's the best thing for him, and then see where he ends up at the end of the season. For me, I think his career, he will never play again for Swindon.
Well, there you go. I mean, that's 1 yes, 1 no. Any more votes?
Absolutely not.
Well, that's 2 no's, 1 yes.
No, I don't. I don't think so. I mean, scoring 15 goals in Scottish League One, it's not like scoring 15 goals in the English League Two, is it? And I'm not wishing to be rude or anything, but it's not the same. So, and I think it's a nice, gentle way for him to leave the club. To be perfectly honest, I don't think he's coming back.
Okay, that's a more than fair point. As I say, we mentioned earlier on, it could be a chance to put himself in the shopping window for the summer after. Carly, what are your thoughts? So we're 3-1 in terms of no.
I agree with Ellis. If he does come back, it's straight into the squad to play, and would only be to cover if we had some bad injury situations. I don't know. I agree with Ellis. Like there is something. He has got a presence about him. Definitely, he's definitely, he can kick a ball and kick it well. But again, agree with Chris and Daz. Yeah, he just doesn't seem to have clicked here, does he? And if he does well somewhere else, then bless the lad, let him go off and have his career there.
Yeah, no, totally agree. Totally agree. So that's 4-1 to nose. Daisy, are you making it 5, or are you bringing on a consolation goal back?
I don't know. It's hard to say. I just don't think it's sort of clicked here for him. I think going on a loan, that's just going to help him build his confidence up. And then I think once his contract's expired, I think maybe it's best for him to go find another club, because I just don't think I don't know if he did come back in January. I just don't know if he'd fit in with the squad. It just depends if there's injuries or anything, really.
Yeah.
Joe, save me. Save me. I'm all alone.
Save you. I can't, mate. I think it's a landslide. I can't see it happening. I think it's probably past the point of no return now. Having said that, I mean, look, it's sod's law. It will go and have a blinding season next year. It will sign for Oxford in the summer, and it will be the bloke that takes them up. It's the way the football is, mate. It's just, yeah, it's just not going to happen. Some players fit a club, some players don't. I think you've probably got to look at Harry McCurdy alone just to prove that.
Yeah, definitely.
So obviously we start that segment there about where are we short. I think, and this is not being rude to someone's height. Defense has been touted quite a lot over the last week or so about being quite short there. Obviously, Marcel Lavinia.
How tall are you, Joseph?
I'm 6'1", so I think I'm all right.
You are not.
I am. I've got a measuring tape.
Joe, how tall are you without that sheep hair on your head?
5'7".
There you go.
Obviously, yeah. So defence. Obviously, we lost Marcel Lavinia this evening. It's kind of gone through a swap deal. We believe there's a swap and a fee involved in Swindon's favour, which is nice to see. So Godwin Malief's come in, who is going to be a starter. I think a lot of people were very interested in his signing when it was rumoured, a couple of weeks ago at the game at Saturday. I think Ryan's inbox has probably blown up with about 1,000 messages asking for his announcement or information on the signing over the last week. I mean, do we need defenders in? Obviously, we've got FBC,
Yes.
we've got Brewitt, Minturn, Godwin Malief now as well. Tom Claytor's out injured for a while. We think probably 6 weeks. If we're playing 3 at the back too, there's a definite need for more centre backs, isn't there?
Yeah, I think what the names you just listed, Joe, at the start, that's the starting back 5. For me, I mean, you could argue that we need another sort of left wing back, a player in that position. I think Flynn's mentioned obviously that Shea can play in that position.
Don't fall into that. I think that was a dodgy post.
Never mind. Well, but we know as fans that he has played there before. He played in that position at Warsaw. But look, no matter, we've got the starting back 5, but I think we're going to need backup anyway, because injuries inevitably happen, suspensions happen. We need backup, because obviously defense is a massive part, and if you've got a hole in your defense, then that's the game gone. So we definitely need to look at bringing him back up. But in terms of a back five, obviously you got Hutton on the right. I don't personally see. Well, there's no one on the market that we can afford that would replace him. You've obviously got Brewitt, Blake Tracy, Minturn, obviously a big prospect at the club. Obviously Clayton, but he's out.
I think Godwin Malief starts, but it's just
100%.
It's that left back, isn't it? I mean, if Reece Devine was fit, he'd be, excuse the pun, divine for this team, because he would be. I mean, we only saw him last year for bloody 45 minutes at Leyton Orient, but my God, that was like maybe the most impressive 45 minutes of football I've ever seen.
Yeah, it's such a sort of, it's so frustrating because we can all see that there's a good player there. God, I can't imagine how he must feel. Like, you know, the moment he gets back, he just gets injured again. It's like never ending. I've seen that he's just had surgery as well. So
yes, we wish him all the best for his recovery. But obviously, we've said it before on the show. There's an absolute baller in there. Like, you don't play for Man City and Man United until 23's level. I think he made an appearance for United in the Europa League as well. Like, you don't get those sort of opportunities in football if you're not good with the ball at your feet.
Yeah, definitely. But look, like we've well, not all of us, me. I've said we need backup, and certainly I'll be looking at possibly a sort of a taller defender as well, a bigger in stature defender.
I think, well, looking at the comments there as well, Alex, Michelle agrees with you. She says, someone big and burly in defence, please. Definitely lacking in that area, but also like a big and burly in midfield, so we get an alternative when we play similar teams, as sometimes we've got nothing to offer. I think...
Well, I'll tell you one person that we could do with in this starting lineup, and that is Sir Tom Broadbent. He would slot straight into this side.
Is he going straight up front, yeah?
Oh, absolutely. Put him right up front, scoring a hat-trick first game of the season.
I think what we do know is that our weakness is in defence. What we need is, as Ellis has alluded to there, is we need someone about 6'4", 6'5", who can run a defence just to sit in the middle of that back three. If you've got Fraser Blake Tracy on the left, you've got that new lad. I'll call him new lad because I'm not even going to try and say his name.
Godwin
on
Malief.
The right. Yeah, and I think we'll do that as well. But that's really what we need is, you know, an experienced big centre half to just run that team.
Are you trying to say Ryan Edwards without saying Ryan Edwards?
Maybe.
I don't disagree. I think the biggest push at the moment is left wing back, though, isn't it? Surely.
Well, that was the other thing I was going to go on to. We actually do not have a left back, anyone who could naturally play in that position. Obviously, the only one we've got was injured, and we've alluded to that if he was fit. and I was actually at Orient that game as well, and he was outstanding. And it's a shame that he's injured, but I mean, we were teased with the Tomlinson thing as well, but then even if Joe Tomlinson was here, as much as we loved him, he was also injury prone as well, which is a bit of a worry because so many of the players that we love and whatnot keep getting injured.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think Joe Tomlinson would be a fit. Joe Tomlinson in this team would be absolutely sensational, especially in the back three where he's going to have, you know, his main input or his main focus is to attack. The boy can score goals, and also on the other side, I think the thought of a Romeo Hutton that has got nothing in his brain apart from getting forward and getting balls into the box for Charlie Austin to feed off of, that to me is really quite exciting. I mean, Daz, I'll take your thoughts on that, mate. Joe Tomlinson, is that a name that you'd think, yeah, give us a go, or do the injuries scare you?
The injuries scare me. However, that's all down to how the club that he's at actually process him through the recovery, and it's the backroom staff that are at fault. I think if the guys keep getting injured, it's the backroom staff that really need to get a grip, because he's an exciting prospect for sure.
Absolutely. I think obviously looking from my notes here about what I think that we maybe need to be looking at in terms of the remaining transfers. I have put Lewis Ward's name down. So obviously Lewis Ward is a very popular figure at Swindon Town. We have Murphy Maloney in goal, who he's going to be the starting goalkeeper. We know that. Is Lewis Ward someone that we think as a panel that Swindon Town should be looking to bring in? Obviously, we've got Conor Bran, who we've never really seen. Young Irishman, very highly rated, but I think Lewis Ward kind of strikes me as someone that's good for the camp as well.
The one thing that Lewis Ward brings is experience
and penalties.
Certainly, exactly. But look at the Man City game. Look at the playoff second leg. He can certainly save a penalty. But look, he brings experience, and looking at it from Mahoney's point of view, you're gonna want a more experienced player to learn off of. And you also want to have a bit of friendly competition there, because you don't want to get too comfortable in your position. You always want to be fighting for that position and showing that you deserve to be that starting number one. But I mean, look, if we can bring him in, if I was Flynn, I'd certainly be looking at putting an offer on the table. But Ward's obviously got to understand that he's not going to be the number one, the starting keeper every game. But
he's been in that position before, though, mate. He knew that he wasn't the starting goalkeeper when Bollock was here, and he forced his way in. So, I mean, Ryan Whelan's was tweeted as well as a reply to this conversation. Lewis Ward's still in training, no decision yet, no idea what's going on, almost a forgotten man. Now, Wardy, if you're listening back to this, you're never forgotten. We love you, Wardy.
I think the other thing.
Sorry, Chris.
I was going to say. I think the other thing we've got there is obviously at the moment our number 2 goalkeeper is Conor Bran, and we just don't know anything about him.
They're coming off a big injury too.
We just don't know what he brings, because we've never seen him. Even last season when he was available, like sort of you could have given him a thing in the Pizza Cup. Sol Brim played. So what does that say? We really don't know what we've got in Conor Brim.
Yeah. No, mate, I totally agree. Obviously coming off a big injury last year as well. I think it was his ACL, wasn't it, away at Stockport in the Cup from a warm up, which is not ideal. So I think here we go. We'll do another vote, shall we? In a yes or no, are we taking Lewis Ward back if we're given the chance? Chris, yes, no.
Yes.
Daz, yes, no.
Absolutely yes.
2-0. Ellis, yes, no.
Yeah, man.
That's 3-0. Carly?
100% yes.
Oh, this is a landslide. Daisy, round it off.
Yes, definitely.
5-0. I'll make it 6. I've said enough about the bloke, but he's just an absolute diamond.
Plus, he comes in fully with the confidence of the fans, which, talking about Adeloy, we know it's such a big thing. I mean, after the Port Vale away match, I think any one of us would quite happily have his face tattooed all over us, because we love him so much. He's got that confidence with us, and like you say, like with the Willicott situation with him, JJ dropped a little bit of Jojo. Well, I can't remember
it's
already.
Jojo, but I'm sure
sorry.
he did say JJ.
Jojo, thank you. He dropped that little bit of form, didn't he? And it just sort of went off a little bit, and then Ward was there to intercept it. And that system seems to work well, I think, especially in these lower leagues, to have somebody there waiting that can do the job, ready to challenge, ready to jump in. If it works, let's do it. Let's bring him in.
I think it's
end of the day.
I was going to say, going back to a conversation I had with our founder Hannes, and we actually discussed quite a lot about last year as well. The isn't that the season when we got to the playoffs, the Ward being the type of guy who would come to the ball, that when we had that thing when Conway and Bowdry seemed to become, world-class players overnight.
Cannavaro and Nesta, you mean?
The big part of that was that they had a keeper behind them who was talking to them, giving them confidence, and would come and catch the
He's
ball.
also an absolute
And I think
mountain, though,
that's
isn't he? Like, if you look at, I think, I've not actually seen him live, so I might be completely wrong here, but from the photos and the clips that I've seen of Murphy Mahoney, he looks like a very confident shot stopper, but he also doesn't seem that huge. I think for a goalkeeper in League Two, it's nice to have the option of having, a Lewis Ward for your Suttons away, where you're going to be, long throws, corners every 5 seconds.
Look, Joe, for me, at the end of the day, injuries happen, suspensions happen. For all we know, Mahoney might go on a rampage and knock everyone out on the pitch and get suspended for the whole season, and then we'll be absolutely buggered because we don't have a goalkeeper. We got Connor Brand. Do we trust him? We haven't seen him. And I think if you've got experienced player, a proven player that can play in League Two, a proven goalkeeper, I think obviously if he's not asking for stupid money, I think it'd be stupid not to take him.
Absolutely. Obviously, his partner's signed for Swindon Town Women as well, so they live locally. That Wardy runs a football school in the area too. He clearly loves the club. He's trained with the club for basically a year now, in a trialist role. The guy's he's doing all the right things, isn't he? I mean, it would do. I've seen maybe potentially people saying that if the budget's there at the end, you then sign Wardy. Maybe you focus your funds on other places. I've put it here attacking options. I think maybe the signing of Jake Young probably puts that position a little bit down the pecking order. I've also put Christian Doidge's name down because I saw a tweet about it and I got excited. But he's just scored an overhead kick in the Europa Conference League tonight. So I think that probably rules that one out. Cheers, Hibbs. Nice one. A name I've put down here that I've literally saw about 10 minutes before coming onto the show, and I'm going to ruin this as well. Tariq Ukawe from Crew.
Yeah.
I mean, he played a lot for Crew last year, and I can't say I've seen him play, but looking at some of the heat maps from Crew's games, I think he literally played every single position on that football pitch.
Yeah, seeing some comments, he's sort of an all-rounder, sort of like an Iandolo shade. They don't know their position, and I don't think anybody knows their position. But by the sounds of it, he's a decent player. But yeah, I've got no clue what position he is. I believe it's left wing back.
Well, I've seen people saying he's originally a centre mid, but he's got a cracking left foot and can whip it across. I think in a back three, if he's playing wing back, that could be beneficial to us.
Well, if you've got two decent players that they've got cross on them, either side being Hutton and this new signing, and then you've obviously got Charlie Austin, a proven poacher. He's scored goals at the highest level of this game. Hepburn Murphy. We've got all these strikers in and around the area. If you're getting balls in there, it's guaranteed goals at the end of the day. So we all touched on it earlier. We're pretty light in that left wing back position. So I mean, if he can do the job, if he can play well, then again, it'd be interesting to see what he's like if he signs.
Absolutely. I mean, has anyone here on the panel got any inside knowledge about Tariq Uwake? Has anyone got any input, any previous experience of seeing him play? Because I certainly have not.
Not to my knowledge. I was just going to say, the thought of having a player similar to Hutton on the other wing would be the dream, wouldn't it? That would just be such a wonderful thing for us to have. I've just said for the last couple of seasons that we just never seem to have any width. Everything always goes through the middle, and I just miss those days of having wingers working the channels. And Hutton, for me, just hits that narrative every time. He's always looking to get forward, and get them balls in, and that's just what we need. It's like the days of McNamee and Mark Marshall all over again.
JT McGovern.
Look, it's a defender's nightmare. I think it's sort of attacking this side is up there with some of the best attacking players in the league. Obviously, Charlie Austin takes that right up. Dan Kemp, again, a proven well-rounded attacking player. Hutton obviously was one of the highest leading players in assists in Europe at one point last season.
As I say, I keep saying it this evening, but I'm really convincing myself that Romeo Hutton's going to be massive for us this season. I mean, in a back three, all he's got to do is cross the ball. I think a lot of people last year, their one criticism of Romeo was his defending. And I mean, people called him the League Two Trent, which, maybe you can see it, and maybe that's quite a good comparison. But take away that defensive responsibility, my God, that boy will cook.
Oh, absolutely. Look, the amount of it that I'm not sure on the exact number, but the amount of assists that he was getting, the balls that he was putting in. Look, we're very lucky to have him. I mean, I don't know if there has been any bids put in for him. But I'd be really shocked if we haven't, or there will be any bids put in for him. And can I just say, I know he is listening, and we're not just saying this because he is listening. And yeah, we're not we're not trying to. I don't know what the word is, but I
didn't even know he was listening. Now I'm starstruck. Thanks, Ella.
Yeah, I've just seen him, and I promise everyone here, I'm not saying he's a good player just because he's listening, okay? But he is a good player. And hi.
Oh God.
I think the fact that obviously Flynn likes the three centre back system, and obviously if you've got Fraser Blake Tracy left, let's call him Dokes right, and then whoever's in the middle, those guys who can slide and whatnot, which allows those the fullbacks or wing backs, whatever you want to call them, to get on. Houghton in particular is going to be better, and I don't know that lad from Crewe. It sounds like he's like that. I don't know anything about him, but we don't have anyone really who's naturally can play in that position. So he's good to go down there. Well, we don't know the situation with Divine, which is unfortunate for someone to be injured for that long.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate one, isn't it? I think obviously he's got. You don't see a lot of players that come off of 2 years out and come back and really hit the ground running. I genuinely hope the boy does, because I think he's got a lot of talent. Just finishing off on the sort of the transfers and those sort of bits. The Tariq Ukawe signing, he's a young player, and I think a lot of people look at it and go, oh, he's only 22, 23 years old. And, last summer we heard about the experience card being played every 5 seconds. The boy played 44 games in League Two last season. So, to me, I mean, Jake Young's one you look at, prime example. He's 22. He's played like 95 games in League Two. It's one of those. Do we think, as a panel, do you think the experience card being sort of played? I've seen it a lot less this year, I must admit. But experience surely comes with games being played, no?
Yeah, and let's be honest, just because you have experience doesn't necessarily equate to you being a good footballer. I mean, it certainly helps. That's don't get me wrong, but there's some absolute ballers out there that have only played 5 games last season. So experience does help, but I think it's not something that's necessary. Look, we're limited at what we can get, and we're in terms of the leagues, we're the football pyramid. We're bottom of the barrel. So we get sort of last scraps from Premier League, Championship,
You say
League
we're bottom
One.
of the barrel, mate. I think in terms of looking at League
Exactly.
Two or looking at League One, we're still. I think there's a tremendous pull towards the football club.
Yeah, exactly. And if you can tap into those good players that are there, look, I, everyone slates Sandro and the spreadsheet formula. It didn't work. There's no denying that. But there's something in there where if you can just find that young player that that may have been released from a bigger club, it will work eventually. Look, as a model to run a football club off, I think last season shown that it doesn't work. But sort of one-offs, if you can find those little hidden talents in those younger players, you could be sitting on a gold mine. I mean, look, Wakelin, perfect example, young player. Look, we know these players maybe aren't going to come into that starting lineup. They may not, play every single game. But if you can take on a young player that has got good talent and it almost like like your academy players and sort of develop them, and then that's when you can start bringing them into the first team and play in integrating them into the first team. I mean, I'm not the biggest fan of just buying players just for the sake of selling them. You've got to be looking at bringing in players to to make the team better and to essentially the end goal get promoted. That's where we went wrong last season. I think we were just looking at bringing in these young players just to sell them on and make money. But if you can bring these players in that have actually got quality and can actually play football, I don't just write players off because they've got no experience. Is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, mate, can't disagree with any of that. It's Alan Hansen once famously said that you won't win anything with kids, and then Man United went and won the title that year with the exact thing that he said they wouldn't win with.
And obviously this weekend now, obviously we're coming up to this. We have a game against Colchester United.
Do we?
So, we start our season there. So, really, what are we thinking? Let's actually, Daisy, let's start with you. What do you think, and how confident are you about this weekend and your predictions against Colchester?
Oh, have we lost Daisy?
Yeah, I think we've lost Daisy.
Sorry, my mic was
she's
off.
back.
I think if we play the way we played against Plymouth, I think we'll do well. I think also because there's quite a few fans going of what I've seen on Twitter. I think if we bring the atmosphere, that'll boost the players up and sort of get them going. I reckon I'm going to predict we'll win 3-1, and I think Austin will score at least one.
Well, I listened to the podcast from our friends Hoops and Jonah earlier, and they said, last week there were 700, so I would guess that we might be close. We might be actually close to about 1,000 by the time we get there.
Oh wow, that'll be really good.
And Carly, what's your thoughts for this opening game?
Well, first of all, the fan support depends very much on whether we manage to get in the ground on time or not, which is something that will be on my mind between now and then as I'm driving. I think Colchester for us are one of those sides, aren't they, that can be a little bit challenging. And their second game is away to Bradford, so I know they're going to really want to come out of the blocks and give us a real going over if they can. But I just think, I didn't go to Plymouth, but from everything that's been said, I think maybe we're in for sort of a bit of an exciting time. I'm going to play it safe, which is not like me. I'm normally very optimistic. I'm going to go 2-2 draw, which I'll be very happy with, just because I don't know. We've got a bed in, haven't we?
Unfortunately, we have to face that bloody turtle, but we can't do anything about it. Ellis, anyway, what's your views?
I'm look. I'm really, really looking forward to Saturday. I think we're getting to the point now where we're getting a really good side up together. We're sort of bringing them back up, or bringing in sort of first team starters that then create backup. Look, we've got legs all around the pitch. We got Hepburn Murphy up top, which he Saturday he was electric. Obviously, Charlie Austin. Look, all round we're getting a strong side. I think our bench is slowly getting stronger as well. We're sort of lacking in our depth at the minute, but you bring a couple signings that changes. I mean, some of the players on the bench. You got players on the bench. I mean, Wakeland, he come off the bench on Saturday, and absolutely just you sort of lit the pitch on fire. He scored a great goal. And look, we got players on the bench. And we've got a good starting lineup. And I just hope we get our revenge on, pardon my French, that little turtle, Knobhead. And
I'll allow it.
Thanks, Joe. And just sort of calm everyone's nerves down a bit. I think we're gonna be in for a high scoring game. I think 3-0. I think we're gonna see 2 goals from Charlie Austin and a free kick from Dan Kemp. That's my prediction, and hopefully it's going to settle everyone's nerves down and set us up for a promotion winning season.
Guys, are you joining us at Colchester? And
sadly not. Whenever I go to away games, we lose, and the only time I saw us win away, we got demoted 2 divisions. So away games is not my forte, I'm afraid, and I'm going to really upset the apple cart, and I think it'll be a 2-0 loss.
Daz, what are you doing that
I'm
for?
sorry.
Daz, you can't do
all that positivity.
Yeah, I know, and that's because that's what Swindon do. They build you up just to knock you down. I just got this horrible gut feeling that with all the positivity around the club that's building a building, I don't know. It's just that gut feeling.
Oh.
And I got a 2-0 loss. I'm sorry. I love being wrong though, so hold me to that next week when we win 5-0.
I will hold you to that. And now, Joe, it's on to you.
Oh, mate. So Ellis is already. It's past 9 o'clock, so we can swear. Ellis has used the word knobhead with reference to Ben Garner. Now, don't forget, it's Ben Garner and Scott Marshall, so it's the team that left us in limbo last summer. Obviously, they've got. I'll start off. Ellis O'Angelo. Hope he has a great season, but on Saturday, I hope he. Not a bad injury. Hope he twinges a hamstring. That's come off in the first minute. 2 weeks out. That's okay. I'll live with that. I hope we absolutely knob them like 6-0. I can't stand Ben Garner. That man ruined our summer last year. He was basically cheating on us with, the Charlton talks through the playoffs and the interviews and stuff. He was never going to be here, regardless of when up. I just can't stand him. Regardless of, I know it's Colchester away, and that usually means a loss, but sod it, 6-0.
Hopefully, Charlie Austin scores a hat trick and headbutts Ben Garner. That would be the perfect outcome.
No, I'll tell you what I want to happen, actually. Here you go. I want Lewis Ward to have signed already in time for the game. I want Lewis Ward to come on up front, in the last minute, it being 0-0, David James style, score a header, and then do a knee slide in front of Ben Garner. That's what I want to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. I would. I wouldn't be able to control myself if that happened.
No, I mean, I live near Broadmoor, and I think I'd be checking into Broadmoor that evening if that happened.
Yeah.
And as we're sort of like closing down now, so we need some predictions for the season. So what we're going to do is let's start off with what we want from the panel is your top 3. So let's. I'll go back there. Daisy, I'll start with you. Who do you predict for your top 3 in the League Two?
I was talking to my mum about this earlier, and I was just thinking it's really hard because I feel like there's quite a few that it could be. I feel like Stockport is definitely going to be up there. No, because they made some good signings and they were really strong last season. I think there's all this talk about Wrexham, and I don't know if they're gonna do it. With everything that's happened with Paul Mullen, their star boy, injured. I don't know if they're gonna not. I don't know. I don't think they're gonna do as well. Maybe Gillingham, because they're doing quite good signings. I don't know. It's quite hard to decide.
I think it's the hardest division that we've seen for a while. I think.
Yeah, I was just about to say that it's a real tough league this season. We got big spenders. You've got the usual big spenders. You got obviously Bradford, Gillingham are spending money like it's no object.
That's going to end
Obviously
badly, by the way.
Wrexham.
I can tell you right now. Gillingham spending money is going to end badly very soon.
If they don't get promoted, then they're buggered. But look, Wrexham, big spenders, decent side. I don't think Wrexham are gonna. I think Wrexham will do well, but they're certain. I think they're going to struggle to get autos. I genuinely think Notts County are going to do better than Wrexham this season. Mansfield just signed Aidan Flint. Yeah, twat, thank you. And look, they've got a good side. I think this is a real tough league this season. But I think, hand on heart, I think we're going to do quite well. Well, when I say quite well, really well. Stockport are going to get first, I reckon. Notts County second, and then I reckon we'll get third. That is my top 3.
Oh, very, very interesting, Ellis. I mean, we obviously have. We've been talking about this in our WhatsApp group today, and there was a lot of we were very wide in our views. So, Carly, what's your top 3? Obviously, knowing that we're a month away from the end of the transfer window, but at the moment, who's your top 3?
As it stands, yeah. Again, like I agree with what Daisy's saying. It's such a hard one to call. Like we said, Gillingham, they've obviously had some investment, which they're going to be wanting a return on. And the same goes for Wrexham. I think Wrexham may struggle a little bit with the adjustment from the National League to League Two. But I do think they will be there or thereabouts, because it seems like they've got a bit of an endless pot of money. So if they are struggling, then maybe they'll have a bit more put into them. I don't want to put Gillingham in the top 3. Sorry, I can't do it. I wouldn't underestimate MK Dons. They're one of those teams, aren't they? I'd like to put us in it. I really would. I said that last season though, and I was very, very wrong. Stockport, MK Dons, us.
Yeah, for me, I actually have Gillingham in the playoffs. I think they're going to be up there, but I don't want to put them in the top 3. Daz?
Well, I reckon Stockport are going to romp it, and then Mansfield, and a bit of a dark horse because it's a long time coming, and I hate to say it, but Salford.
Interesting. So that brings us on to our illustrious leader, Big Joe. Who's your top 3?
So I'll tell you who I think will finish bottom. Bottom 2, here you go. Bottom 2, Swindon and Wrexham. Top 3, Crawley, Forest Green and Walsall. There you go.
Oh, actually, I forgot about that. So actually, Daisy, I need to come back to you now. Who's getting
That was a joke,
relegated?
by the way.
Give me 2 clubs.
I think Crawley and Newport. Definitely Crawley.
Yeah,
though,
Crawley
100%.
are absolutely done for. Like, they haven't got a home kit
their
yet.
owners.
They've just signed the general, mind. They've just signed the
but they
general.
released him 2 months ago.
Yeah, but
Their
owners. But someone released the Crawley shirt and got banned for life.
They're a joke. They're a joke.
Who's getting relegated?
I'll go. Crawley. I think look, they signed Ronan Darcy, but I just think the running of the football club is not great, and I think it's Scott Lindsay. Is he a great manager? Questionable. I think their struggle, and I agree with I think it was Daisy. Newport. They look to be struggling in pre-season. But look, anything can happen. Anything can happen. I'm buzzing. I'm absolutely buzzing for this season. I literally any team could go up, and a number of teams can go down. And to be fair, this is the first time I've been this excited for a season in quite a while. So, yeah.
Okay. I'll go with Crawley and Morecambe to go down.
Well, for me, it's Crawley and Harrogate. Carly.
Grimsby, Crawley.
I'm very interested you say Grimsby, because I've seen a hell of a lot of people who've actually tipped Grimsby to win the playoffs.
Oh, well, good luck to them if they do. I met a gentleman who was a Grimsby fan a couple of years ago on holiday, and we had such a very similar conversation about our clubs, that they're a club that are tipped to do well but never really quite get there. So
I think I'd probably go Crawley and Morecambe as well. Actually, I think Morecambe slipped my mind. I'm not sure they're doing too well, are they, in the boardroom stakes?
No, not really. But I think what we've got from this is that Crawley are going down, and I also don't think anyone's going to be upset about that.
No, I'll cheers to that. Well, I mean,
so actually, we've got one last question. Top scorer.
Oh, I mean, what, for Swindon or in the division?
Top scorer in the division.
The division. I think Longstaff and Notts County.
I'll back you on that. I was going to say Macaulay Longstaff for me as well.
Yeah, Joe, I've got to agree with you. What something that is for Notts County. But look, we got Charlie Austin, and he will definitely get over 20 goals this season. Look, he's a top player. He's scoring goals. He's scoring plenty and plenty of wonderful goals this season.
I think though, like when we're talking about Charlie Austin, though, at the end of the season, if he scores 25 and we do well, and the leading scorer scores 26, what does it matter?
It doesn't.
Well, as long as if we go up, I don't care who scores the goals. As long as if we get promoted.
I think ideally everyone in your squad gets like 8 to 12 goals. You just share it out. It doesn't really matter who gets top goal scorer, really.
Well, I think the way we're set up with our forwards, obviously I'm not too familiar with where Young's going to play. Is he going to play behind them? Is he going to play in the? But if you get 10 to 12 from Hepburn Murphy, you get 20 from Austin, you get however many from Wakelin and Young, who at this moment seem to be the backup, and then Kemp is going to get you 10, however much you get from midfield. It's a team effort.
It is indeed, yes, team game, isn't it? So obviously, yeah, I think you nailed it, mate. To be fair, we've got a squad of decent attacking players. You share the goals out, and ultimately, the proof is in the pudding, really, isn't it? Where you finish.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly. So yeah. I mean, obviously, we're in that season when Doyle scored for fun, and literally he scored all of our goals. But if you have someone who just does that, you don't need someone else to do it. But if you haven't got a guy who's getting you pro rata 50 goals a season, then you need everyone else to step up. And in our successful seasons, we've had goals from midfield, we have had goals from other strikers, and that's what we need.
Absolutely.
Look, we are not lacking in the goal scoring department this season. I don't think that's something to worry about. We've got plenty of well-rounded strikers who can score goals. Of Charlie Austin, Hepburn Murphy, Wakelin, obviously Young being brought in, Dan Kemp. Look, all these players can score goals, and I think we're going to see plenty of them this season.
Actually, one thing I'm interested about and speaking to everyone here is which player, as we head into the season, we're 2 days away, excites you most about this season. Daisy, I'll start with you.
I think Hepburn Murphy, I think he's going to have a cracking season this season. Just, I don't know. As long as he stays injury-free, though, that's the only issue. And I really hope he doesn't pick up any injuries. I just think he's going to have a cracking season.
I actually don't disagree with that because that is the player I would have picked as well. And next, I'll Carly, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I was going to say exactly the same. I'd even put him in contention for top 5 goal scorers in the league. I think there seems to be definitely something bubbling there between him and Austin. And Austin seems quite happy to be looking for him to pass to for him to get the goal too, which we know is such a great thing when you've got that lovely strike partnership. So yeah, he was my most improved player last season, and I think if he picks up from where he left off, I think he will be fantastic, definitely.
Alice?
For me, I know he's not a permanent sign-in. Dan Kemp, look, Saturday he played really well. He stood out for me. The volley to score the goal was class. His positioning, his determination to drive the ball forward, look comfortable on the ball. I think he's going to be a big player for us this season. I just hope he doesn't get recalled in January. I mean, if he sets this league on alight, then we've definitely got to be looking at signing him permanently. But look, from what I saw Saturday, I'm excited to see more.
Daz?
I think McEachran for me. I think he's going to be the midfield maestro. He's going to be spraying the ball about left, right, and centre. Hutton to pick it up, crossing the box, and then Charlie to put it away. So McEachran for me. I think he's going to set our team alight this season.
And that brings us on to you, Joe.
I will go Romeo Hutton just purely. I just think in a position where he's not going to have any defensive or limited defensive worries, he's going to be so good for us this year. I genuinely think player of the season already. I can tell you right now.
Well, let's see how the league plans
Absolutely.
out. And we've only got 48 hours to wait. And I'm really looking forward to Colchester.
Aren't we all, Chris? I mean, that probably brings us towards the end of the show, doesn't it? I think. Has anyone got any final pre-Colchester thoughts that you'd like to get off your chest before we go offline?
It's in the middle of nowhere.
In the middle of nowhere.
Ben Garner, you turtle-looking bastard. That's all I've got to say.
Can we end it on that? Because I think that's the perfect way to end it.
Yep.
Sensational, Ellis. I think you've summed that up wonderfully.
Thanks, Joe.
Well, guys, we're a bit over the hour that we planned for, but I genuinely I loved that show. I thought, it was good conversation. I thought it was really nice to hear the positivity from everyone, apart from Daz with a 2-0 defeat in this prediction. But
sorry, that's feeling, and that's it. Prove me wrong, Swindon. Prove me wrong.
There you go. I think we'll end on you bald-headed turtle bastard and prove me wrong, Swindon. So once again, thank you very much for listening, guys. as always, we're an independent Swindon Town X space. We are not affiliated with Swindon Town Football Club, nor Tom Broadbent himself. So, yeah, thanks for listening, guys. We will speak to you very soon. All the best. Up the town.
Bye.